Darren Fletcher will take charge for the season for the second time when they welcome Brighton to Old Trafford in the FA Cup on Sunday. Now, Kobbie mentioned Kobbie Mainoo. He's in line for just a second start of the campaign after falling out of favour under Amorim, and so much so that he asked to leave the club on loan in the summer.
He seems in a good place. Kobbie doesn't give you much, so you wouldn't know if he was in a good place or not so good. He's like that. That's his natural way. But I know him well, and I've known him for a long time. And I've seen him around the building and around different places throughout the season. Not so much about the building, but you see people around. I've had conversations with him in general. But he's in a good place. I know Kobbie, and I think he knows me, and he knows Travis Binion, so he's comfortable with his environment. So he's in a good place. He's trained well, and as I said, he's hard to read, Kobbie. So that remains to be seen.
He's in a good place, he says, but then he says he's hard to read. What do you think about Mainoo's future, given the fact that Amorim has now gone?
Well, I'd expect him to stay at Manchester United. Darren Fletcher does know him well because he's known him over the years at Manchester United. But look, this is a player who was selected for the Euros by Gareth Southgate. Is he going to be selected by Thomas Tuchel? It looks like it's unlikely. But look, you can't see him leaving now with what's going on with Manchester United now. He's obviously been given a lifeline, and it looks like the fans want him back as well.
What do you think, Kobbie? Do you see him staying, or do you think his bridges have been burned?
I think he will definitely stay. He's a brilliant player. He was in the starting 11 for England at the last Euros. For whatever reason, Ruben Amorim didn't rate him as highly as other people have rated him. Basically, he said to him, "You're going to be Bruno Fernandes's understudy." And that is not a good place to be if you're Kobbie Mainoo. So I think clean slate for him, and I would expect him to have a really big next 5 months, because I still think there's a chance he could get into the England squad if he wins his place back in the United team.
OK, so then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michael Carrick, as we know, are in the running to take charge of the club until the end of the season. There's been an update in the last 25 minutes. Kobbie Solskjaer.
Yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to have face-to-face talks with the United hierarchy tomorrow. Michael Carrick has already spoken to the United hierarchy. Now, you would assume that when we're talking about face-to-face talks, it's effectively an interview with people like Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, who are in charge of running the club under Jim Ratcliffe. I've got to be honest with you, Mike. I mean, I can't quite get my head around this, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked by Manchester United.
Paid off, broken man. Now they want him back.
He was sacked by Manchester United just over 4 years ago. I remember his final game, United lost 4-1 against Watford. Previously, they lost to Man City. A few games before that, they lost 5-0 to Liverpool. They were 7th in the Premier League, and they are going potentially back to him. And the other person they've spoken to is Michael Carrick, the person who took over from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the interim manager 4 years ago. Now, Michael Carrick, brilliant player. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, brilliant player. But you look at their managerial record and you have to ask, what have they done that is going to be an improvement on Ruben Amorim? What have they done? Because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his last job was at Besiktas. He was sacked in the summer after they were knocked out of the Europa League playoffs, and then they were knocked out of the Europa Conference League playoffs by Lausanne, the Swiss club that's also owned by INEOS. And Michael Carrick, incredible player though he was, you look at his record at Middlesbrough, he failed to win promotion with Middlesbrough. Last season, they finished 10th. He was sacked 3 or 4 weeks after the end of the season when they held a review. So, for the life of me, I cannot understand, even though both these players were exceptional players for Manchester United, what they have done to be in the running to take over as the manager of the club until the end of the season.
All right, Michael, let's talk INEOS then. They've had a number of important decisions to make. Have they got any right?
Maybe Manchester United fans would say parting company with Ruben Amorim, because I think a lot of fans had enough. Oh, I kept hearing about formation all the time. I don't hear Oliver Glasner going about formation all the time. But then you'd go back to it and say, well, when Man United wanted Ruben Amorim, I remember Ruben Amorim, we were getting interviews from Sporting Lisbon. He didn't want to join a club midway through the season. He was so reluctant to join a club midway through a season. That's all I heard from Ruben Amorim. When he joined Manchester United, he didn't want to join midway through a season. You don't want to hear that when you're a fan. You want to hear about your own club. You want to say, I'm at Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Not saying I need the start of the season, I need this, I need that. I think the Dan Ashworth situation was a bit of a puzzling one. It was a very high-profile, messy situation with Newcastle United. He didn't stay. You've got England talking about Euros bids. There's no Old Trafford. I mean, I'm not saying that's their fault at all, but you look at their stadium plans, the design of it, the funding is in question as well. So there's a lot of issues up in the air, I think.
Have they got? Go on.
The thing about INEOS is when they came in, they said we're going to make Manchester United great again. They were very bullish about the fact that they were going to do a better job than the Glazers of running Manchester United.
Well, let me ask you that question. Were United in a better position when the Glazers were in charge of football operations?
Just going by facts, not my opinion, you have to say yes. Because under the Glazers, Manchester United won the title. OK, Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager. They won the European Cup. They won FA Cup, League Cup. The Glazers, much maligned as they are, have a track record of sporting success. They've won 2 Super Bowls with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not very easy to...
How does the Ruben Amorim decision, first of all, how does that sit with you, 24 hours or so on?
Yeah, I thought after the press conference at Leeds United, I thought that he was in trouble. I thought after the Wolves performance and the fans staying at the end to boo en masse, I thought there was, the sort of clouds were circling after that point. But then obviously after the press conference, it was plainly obvious that, sorry, before the Leeds game, wasn't it? Or was it after the Leeds game? I can't even think now. It was after the Leeds game. That was basically sort of, I think, the writing was on the wall. What did surprise me, I thought they might leave him in for a couple of weeks just to work things out. But I thought he was done after the Leeds press conference. When you take on your bosses in any single job in the world, you're likely to lose your job pretty quickly.
So I don't know if you know any more than us on this next part of the solution for Manchester United, Gary, but what we're sort of hearing is that they're looking for an interim now to take them till the summer when there'll be a permanent appointment made. So on that basis, has Darren Fletcher basically got tonight, and maybe the cup game at the weekend as well, to show that he should be one of those under consideration?
Yeah, I mean, I think